Dungeons & Dragons is creating its own team of iconic characters. But will anyone care?
You want answers!
I want the truth!
This week, Penguin Random House announced a new Dungeons & Dragons novel called The Fallbacks Bound for Ruins, which will be written by J. Lee Johnson. The announcement that Penguin Random House is making more D&D novels that aren't either a Dritz novel or a movie tie-in was somewhat of a pleasant surprise. But what was even more surprising is who the Fallbacks are, who created them, and where they will pop up next. According to the press release announcing the book, the Fallbacks will appear in multiple publishing initiatives. What's more, the adventuring group wasn't created by Johnson, but rather were created by the D&D team. The characters themselves all mirror the earliest D&D classes, with the group consisting of a rogue, a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, and a bard, along with a pet monster. A Gizmodo article written by our friend Lynn Kodega notes that it appears that D&D is trying to create its own classic adventuring party akin to the popular parties seen in the actual play shows like Critical Role and The Adventure Zone. Given that both of those shows and others have grown into merchandising powerhouses, Lynn's analysis seems pretty spot on. It's clear that D&D is trying to build its own team of iconics, heroes who represent certain classes and archetypes that appear in multiple rulebooks and other marketing and tie-in material. So far, the closest Dungeons & Dragons has come to achieving this is with Boone Minsk, who have showed up in multiple different novels, video games, and D&D settings. But honestly, this seems much more akin to something like Critical Role's Vox Machina, a band of misfit characters who are very lovable and probably are a found family of some kind. At least that's what we're assuming based on their name and their basic description. And much like the characters of Vox Machina have been used to reach a whole new audience of Critical Role fans with their animated series on Prime Video, along with their own comic books, novels, and appearances in video games, Dungeons & Dragons is likewise in need of a group to act as a face of the franchise, to give those potential new players recurring characters that they can latch on to and invest in. Something that they were, trying to achieve with the Honor Among Thieves movie, which, while an excellent movie, just didn't live up to expectations. Interestingly, Paizo does that very well already with their Pathfinder and Starfinder iconics. All of the hero characters who appear in illustrations in the rulebooks have full backstories and plot lines that play out in the form of short stories, comics, and elsewhere. And what's pretty cool about those iconics is that they age and grow and level up over the course of their storylines, and we see those changes reflected in the rulebooks. Now, Dungeons & Dragons has occasionally tried the iconic route as well. Acquisitions Inc., the rulebook, had iconic characters, and the D&D comics had a few characters who crossed over into both Magic card sets and the Baldur's Gate 3 video game. There's also the D&D cartoon characters who have made sporadic appearances in D&D rulebooks and will appear in more D&D rulebooks in the future. But this seems to be an attempt to create a new D&D party that appeals to a younger, hipper generation. Now the question is whether D&D can actually stick the landing. So what do you think of D&D's new venture? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the Character Sheet.